Hello, welcome back to Wheelie Good TV. The video you're about to watch is the first time that I've actually taken the GoPro Mission 1 Pro on board a motorcycle. I'm going to play around with different settings. I will put the settings on the screen for you so you can see exactly what I'm at. But I'm very curious to see exactly how it looks. I will come back to you at the end of this video and tell you of my findings. Just before we kick the video off, by the way, you might be interested to know that this piece of camera I'm recording now is indeed also on the GoPro Mission 1 Pro. Okay, it'll be interesting to see what the audio is like on this. This is on minus 24 dB audio, by the way, which is incredible that you can take it down to that level. But today is not about the audio. I've literally taped the lav mic inside the helmet and plugged it into the side socket, taken it down to the minimum gain, minus 24 like I said, just in the hope that you can hear me, so I can tell you exactly what settings I have on the camera settings for today's video. So we'll start off, I'm looking at the screen, by the way. Obviously the camera is on the front of my helmet and I'm looking at the screen on the back of it, which is a little trick I always learned to do on previous days of GoPros, because you always had to just double check that the camera was still running and it hasn't frozen or it hadn't overheated. So I know a few vloggers still mount the cameras on the side of their helmets or even on top of their helmets, but I learned the hard way not to do that. The buttons are very easy to press with your gloves on, and I've just realised that because of the flat buttons on top of the Osmo Action 6. Anyway, that's a small little detail, but something which does make a big difference to us motorcyclists. Right, let me tell you what you're looking at now. I'm shooting at 4K 50. I'll be doing all of the clips you see in this test at 4K 50, because that's the resolution I use for all my vlogs. If you want to know why I shoot 50, I will make a video at some stage rather than 60. Briefly, I'm in Ireland, which is in Europe. From my old days of shooting on film, it's an electrical pulse thing. The first observation I'm picking up on is that even though I'm in linear mode, I am not seeing the full width what I would do normally. And I'm going to stop here because every time I ride through this crossroads and I don't stop, the subscribers give out to me. So I'm not seeing full view of my hands on the bars there. I'm seeing a bit of them, but the Osmo Action 6 is wider. I am in cinematic colour. Now obviously I'm only going to be able to comment on these retrospective when I get back to the edit. So I like, from a few tests I've done already just walking around outside the house where I live, I do like the cinematic colour profile, I'll be honest. It does exactly what I do when I'm shooting TV stuff I do at work. I always crush the blacks a little bit and take a bit of saturation out, and the built-in colour profile on this camera, known as cinematic, does do that. So the other thing I should probably talk about is that the motion blur. So I am shooting in auto ISO, auto everything really. Well, I am shooting in auto everything until I get a set of ND filters which aren't released yet for this camera. So you can't dial in manually your shutter speed and frame rates and whatever else to get the perfect cinematic motion blur, because you need ND filters to do that. And like I say, they're not out yet. It has got a little feature. I think it's a bit of a gimmick from the tests I've done so far, with like a digital motion blur it puts in itself. I really don't like the results that has given me so far. I've only really done that in low light, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like on these tests in the daylight. Right, I've had enough of this setting now. I am going to pull in just here and change the lens size into one of the wider profiles to see exactly how that looks. I'll put the visor down so you can hear me. I think that is a little bit wider, but if I'm not mistaken, there's a bit of a curve in the picture, especially when I look down. That's when you can really tell. I'll look up. You can see the curve even more, like that horrible fisheye lens of old on GoPro cameras. However, it doesn't look too bad, and I remember actually, I think it was the last iteration of a GoPro I used, there was some sort of plug-in filter to take out a bit of the fisheye. Then again, you know, you're into more things to do in your editing workflow, and my whole thing, all of the time when I'm motovlogging, is to try and make things quicker and easier, and therefore simpler in the edit. The ultimate goal is to churn out more content, make that editing process a lot quicker than what it already is. Just realised I've got my heated seat on. Thank God for that. I thought I'd had a little accident. Okay, so this is the wide, and I have introduced a little bit of, it's called cinematic motion blur. Since I mentioned it on the last clip, I thought I'd introduce one of the settings on this camera called cinematic low motion blur, I think it is. So a little bit of motion blur. Be interesting to see. I might even freeze the footage and see when you're riding past these hedges. Motion blur, by the way, for a motorcyclist is so important, because you've got the ground moving past you, you've always got the hedges or the trees at the side of you moving past you. In fact, the only thing which is static when you're on a motorbike is your dashboard in front of you and the distance. Everything else around you is moving, and normally fairly quickly. So it's very important to have the motion blur set correctly. As I mentioned on the previous clip, you can only do that manually and therefore correctly when you're using ND filters, which aren't available. So I wonder how this looks. I'm looking forward to getting back to the edit just to see these different settings. So once more, once I find a safe place to pull in, I shall do so and go on to the SuperView, I think it's called, which is the widest lens configuration. Be interesting to see how the auto exposure is adjusting in and out of the shade from these trees on what is quite a nice sunny afternoon here in Ireland. Again, the previous iterations of GoPro struggled quite a bit with this. It would always blow out as soon as it came out of a bit of shadow, and indeed a tunnel. Like most cameras do. I'm not just saying this is a GoPro thing. I'm only saying GoPro because this is the brand I'm testing at the moment. I think we'll pull in here. Nobody behind me. Right, I'll put on the SuperView lens for the next clip. Okay, visor back down, give the audio a fighting chance. Like I said, this video is not about the audio at all, so don't even feel as though you have to comment about that. I'll experiment with that over the next few videos. And in fact, if I haven't already mentioned at this stage, if you're new to this channel and you've only tuned in because of this series of tests that I am running with the new GoPro Mission 1, you will obviously see that it's predominantly a motorbike based channel. However, I am a director of photography for a living. I'm still very much active and working in the TV industry as that, and I know a thing or two about cameras, and that's why I'm so interested in keeping across all this latest tech. It's something I'm very passionate about, if you can't already tell. Okay, so back to today's test. I am now in SuperView. I'm just going to have a little look when I move my head up and down again. It's not too bad, you know, the curve. And you can definitely see a bit more of my hands on the bars. If you're looking at the way I'm riding and you're an experienced motorcyclist, you have to ride on roads like this over an island very different to what you've been taught how to ride. Because if you're in the middle of a road, like I should be here to see what's around the bend, on roads like this in a very agricultural part of Ireland, the chances are you won't survive this ride, because these roads are full of agricultural machinery, especially at this time of year. Combine harvesters, very wide tractors, and you can't really get a sense of just how narrow these roads are from a GoPro, especially with a SuperView lens on, which equates to 16mm, by the way. I'm in natural colour profile as well now. I switched to natural colour profile on this clip now. So I first of all had it in cinematic on the first clip. I then went to vibrant. I'm now in natural colour profile. I'm not going to bother showing you log profiles because you're going to colour it anyway. Well, certainly not in this test anyway. This is just so you can see exactly how the camera performs, what it looks like on a motorbike. As a result of these tests I'm running now, little pothole there, I shall then determine what settings, camera-wise, that I'll go out with in the next video to start experimenting with the audio. Okay, we're off again. From what I can see on the little screen on the back of the camera, I'm actually very impressed with the lack of curvature on the SuperView. So I've left it on SuperView for this clip. I've taken the colour profile back to cinematic. I should tell you that all of the clips I've done in today's video have all been on the high bitrate. I don't know why anybody would choose not to select high bitrate. And in 10-bit as well. It's much easier to, even when you're shooting in a colour profile like cinematic and you're not shooting in log, it's a lot easier just to tweak the colours and the saturation and the overall look of the picture when you're shooting in 10-bit. What was the other thing I wanted to tell you about? Oh yeah, it's got some settings, sharpness and denoise, and all of the clips again that you've seen in today's video have all been set on medium sharpness and medium denoise. When you're on high sharpness, it's just awful, really digitally sharp, and then if you choose low sharpness, it's something else you have to then tweak in the edit. I'm going to turn around here. It's just, and as I mentioned on the previous clip there, all I'm trying to do is to get the best straight out of camera look and hopefully sound eventually without having to do too much in the edit. I mentioned on the first video I made about this camera, which was my initial sort of impression video a day or two ago. I mentioned that I thought you'd feel the weight of this camera since it comes in at 208 grams as opposed to 148 grams for this Osmo Action 6. And if I'm totally honest, I can't feel the weight at all. So that's another plus, another box ticked. I don't want to praise or criticise, for that matter, this camera until I get back to the edit and have a little look to see exactly how it's performed. One good thing, or two good things, is that it hasn't overheated yet, and it hasn't frozen either. So if we get back to the edit and there is some sort of sound on the card as well, then even better. What I really do love, again I'll come on to this more when I start doing videos about the sound, is that not only can you tweak the gain of your plug-in lav mic, or eventually your wireless audio system when they release it. I should do an experiment using my DJI wireless audio at some stage into this camera, and I will. But as well as that, you can tweak the gain on the inbuilt camera mics, which is just a brilliant tool for motorcyclists. And again, I'll play around with that in the hope that I can record the engine track, which I've never had much luck doing with all sorts of microphones and different cameras. It's either full of wind noise or totally blown out with distortion. So I'll come on to that in an audio test. But it'd be interesting to see how it is handling that darkness there, because the sun has just went in. Can't wait to see what the overall picture profile looks like. So that's probably it for today's next test in this long-running story of GoPro Mission 1 Pro. I think I have mentioned that it is the Pro model I bought because I can use this for work a lot because of the high frame rates that this camera offers. I have to say that 10-second burst, even though it's in HD, of 960 frames per second is just incredible when I'm filming stuff like golf balls being teed off, and there'll be all sorts of uses I have for that at work. So, you know, depending on how these tests look, it might not even see the light of day, this camera on my motorbike. It might have no place on my motorcycle helmet, but it will come in very, very useful at work when I'm out being a cameraman. So that's it for today's video. Please like and subscribe, and I'm not just saying that to help the video, although that is part of it, but what I won't do, and I mentioned this on my previous video, these videos about this new camera tech, and there's quite a bit of new tech coming out this year, and I might run this sort of as a side, but on the same channel. I was thinking about setting up a second channel just to cater for all of the camera tech, and so my motorcycle fans don't get annoyed with all of this stuff when they've no interest in it. But genuinely, I don't have time to promote and plug and start building algorithms on a second channel. It's taken me 6 years on really good TV to get where I am now. I really don't have time to plug a second channel. So as long as my long-term subscribers and followers don't mind, what I will do with these videos is to literally put them up on YouTube as I've finished editing them. They will never overtake or overrule rather my 8 a.m. slot on a Saturday morning for the wheelie faithful. And just before you sign off, I have to tell you of my findings, of course. So looking at the footage whilst I was editing this video, I think I actually prefer the natural colour profile. For a look straight out of the camera, I think it's quite beautiful, for want of a better word. I'd be very happy with that for my moto vlogs. And the other surprise is the SuperView lens. Looking at it back on a big screen, again within the edit, I was surprised at how little curvature the image had, especially when you keep your head, as you would do most of the time wearing a motorcycle helmet, looking at the road ahead. You'd keep your head on a horizontal plane. So as long as you're not tilting your head way up or way down, it really keeps that curve in the picture to a minimum. But what it does include is your hands on the handlebar. And it's all about that immersion for if you're into motovlogging, when your audience are watching a video you're making on a motorcycle. A lot of them want to feel like they're riding the bike, and a big part of that is to see what your hand's doing when you're twisting the throttle, when you're pulling a clutch lever, that sort of stuff. And also it gives you a much bigger vista of the scenery around you as you're especially riding through country lanes like that. So I'll be keeping the SuperView lens selected and the natural colour profile also. And another finding I really liked was the auto exposure. When I came out of the shade with the trees into that sunshine, I thought it handled that very quick but very smooth. So that's another tick on my list. However, I still think this image is far too sharp, even with medium sharpness selected. So I will be changing that in future videos to the low sharpness setting, and we'll see where we go from there. But other than that, I thought it was a very, very impressive, great first ride out with this new GoPro Mission 1. Thanks a million for tuning in, and I shall be back with another video about this camera very soon. So make sure to ding that bell. Thanks again, Dave Perry, Wheelie Good TV.